CBS News has learned that President Trump, who currently has no communications director, is taking up some of the duties himself. A White House official confirmed that Fox and Friends co-host Steve Doocy invited the president to appear on his show last week. Mr. Trump accepted, then had the press office coordinate logistics. CBS News White House reporter Jacqueline Alemany is in Washington. Jackie, the president talked about a host of different issues. He spoke out about his nominee for VA Secretary Ronnie Jackson. He talked about Kanye West, even the Stormy Daniels scandal. Was there any fallout from this interview?
Right, and this was on his wife, Melania Trump's birthday, no less. He framed this interview as a birthday gift to her. He was too busy to get her one, he claimed, because the president of France, President Macron, had just visited the White House. There was a bit of fallout from this interview. It was the first time that President Trump admitted that his personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, was handling the Stormy Daniels deal, as he referred to it as, during this freewheeling, half an hour long phone interview. But White House officials stressed to me that this interview did not blindside them and that it was standard operating procedure. The president wanted to do something and no one was going to tell him that he couldn't do it. So he booked the interview himself with Steve Doocy and the next day went on and did it. And it was just up to his White House press office to simply coordinate the logistics. And I just want to stress, really, aside from the news made during this interview, which, featured an unscripted, undisciplined president, this process is highly unusual. I was, running this story by White House officials yesterday before we published it, and they were sort of like, this isn't a story necessarily. This is how things work. What is the story here? And I had to remind myself, actually, that this is a fairly abnormal process for the president to be booking his own press. But this White House has tried to keep him out of the limelight. He hasn't done an interview in months, and that's for a reason. This White House is trying to protect him. But the president has consistently felt that he is his own best spokesperson and goes against the advice of a lot of people internally in the White House pretty often. So, it was no surprise when he showed up on Fox and Friends, last Wednesday morning.
So those who are trying to control him, particularly the White House Communications Department, has a role that they were hired to play. What are they saying about all this?
Yeah. So again, the White House staffers tried to stress to me yesterday that there was a difference between the president booking himself last week on Fox and Friends and what happened this week, which was the communications team being completely blindsided by the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, going out onto Fox News on, I believe it was Wednesday night, and coming out with the really stunning statement that the president had actually reimbursed Michael Cohen $130,000 to pay off porn star Stormy Daniels, which the White House Communications Office has vehemently denied for months now, and the president just denied himself. Again, I reported on Friday that White House aides were stunned when they were watching this interview. They were completely blindsided, had no idea this was coming, and really had no time to, get their own ducks in a line to push this message out. They went out on cable news shows the next morning and deflected and said that it was ongoing litigation and they couldn't comment. So, the communications team is, this is demoralizing for them. The Washington Post had an article, I think that came out last night, that said that Sarah Sanders is extraordinarily frustrated. She's being put in a compromising position where she's going out there and delivering a message with information that isn't necessarily accurate. It's just a matter of time before, people are completely fed up and and leave the White House. And we've started to see, a mass exodus of staffers from this administration already.
And that White House communications job, Jackie, White House press secretary, is not a job I think I would like to have. It is a tough one, no matter who is in the White House. Jackie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Rena.